Good evening, everyone. I want to welcome everyone to really quite an exciting event, and that is the launch of the new strategic plan for the Faculty of Medicine at Dalhousie. Before we start, I do want to recognize that Dalhousie University is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq. We are all treaty people. I would like to recognize that Dalhousie Medicine, New Brunswick, sits on the traditional Wolastoqey territory. The river that runs by the St. John campus is known as the Wolastoq, and it is where the Wolastoqey people settled, the people of the beautiful and bountiful river. We also recognize that African Nova Scotians are a distinct people whose histories, legacies, and contributions have enriched that part of Mi'kma'ki known as Nova Scotia for over 400 years. And today also marks the beginning of African Heritage Month, and I would encourage us to take the time this month and every month to celebrate, understand African heritage in Canada. So again, it's a great pleasure to welcome everyone here this evening. My name is David Anderson. I'm the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine, and I'll be your host here this evening. I do want to acknowledge we've got a couple of special guests here with us in Theatre A in Halifax. So our president of Dalhousie, Dr. Frank Harvey, is here. Frank, thank you very much for coming. And our vice president of advancement, Sheila Blair-Reed, is here as well. So just want to recognize those people who have taken the time of their very busy schedules to join us. So the launch of a strategic plan, I mean, it is a big event, and it's been something that we've been working on for some time in the faculty, and I will bore you with some of the details of the preparation for this evening. But I'll start to just recognize that we've renamed this plan, and we're calling it Realizing Our Ambition, Defining a New Era at Dalhousie Medicine. It was in 2016 that our previous strategic plan, DalMed Forward, was launched and then completed in 2021. And over the next several months, we did a lot of preparation for renewal of a strategic plan, and this culminated in getting the leadership of the faculty together at a retreat in October of 2021 to really discuss where we should go with strategic planning in a faculty. And at that retreat, there were really a lot of good discussions, a lot of input about directions and activities, and two big decisions were made. One is that we would do what we're terming a renewal of our previous strategic plan, DalMed Forward. And what that means is that the framework of DalMed Forward is going to continue, and to recognize a lot of work has to be done in identifying priorities, actions, and activities that are really going to build and transform upon that previous strategic plan. The other decision that was made is that we really felt this, in order to really brand this as our strategic plan of all the faculty, not just a dean's plan or a leadership plan, that we needed to consult. And so over the next, really over the next year, there has been a very intensive consultative phase that has led up to tonight's events. So I just will highlight that we had meetings from the leadership of the strategic planning work with all 22 of our departments, with our research programs, with our standing committees in the faculty, with our student groups, and with our communities. And in addition, we interviewed 16 leaders in our external environment. So these are government officials, health authority officials, leaders of medical societies, leaders of other faculty and university leaders, to seek input into where should we be going, what should we be doing as a faculty as we move forward strategically. In October and early November, we had 4 town halls that addressed 4 streams of work that you're going to hear about this evening. So to really hone in on the major areas of priority within the faculty. This led to a subsequent retreat at the end of November, again, of the leadership of the Faculty of Medicine, which really brought together a lot of the ideas and consensus points that had been raised and have put this forward into the plan that we're going to deliver here this evening. So I want to recognize that there's a group in the faculty that's been overseeing the strategic planning process, and a similar committee involved in the overseeing of our previous strategic plan. For the past 18 months, this group has been integral in meeting monthly, providing input and direction about how we would ultimately lead to the presentation of this plan this evening. And I won't go through the individuals' names, but again, it recognized some of our associate deans, department heads, and senior administrative leadership in the faculty, and I want to really sincerely thank them for their contributions. So, going to get into it. So our new mission for our strategic plan is to drive excellence in health and healthcare through world-class medical education and research, and our commitment to social accountability. Our vision, simply put, is healthier communities. We've identified 5 values that we're putting forward for this plan: respect, inclusion, collaboration, accountability, and excellence. And the ordering of these values is deliberate. With respect and inclusion, we build collaboration within the faculty. With respect, inclusion, and collaboration, we have accountability for the work that we are doing. And these first 4 values will serve to provide a framework for excellence in the work that we are doing within. In the strategic plan, we have 4 streams of work. So these are major areas of work that we will be focusing on, prioritizing over the next 5 years of this strategic plan, realizing our ambition. Dalhousie Medical School this year is 155 years old. For 155 years, education has been a key core feature of the work that we've delivered. Since the Flexner Report in the early 1900s, over the past 100 years, research has been a key component of the work that's been done in our faculty. It's been a more recent development that there's been a focus on the societal role of a medical school or of our Faculty of Medicine. And we recognized this in 2016 with our previous plan and had a strategic stream identified on what we've called serving and engaging society. And I think over the past 5 years, a lot of activity has been paid to this very, very important piece of our work, and you'll be hearing more about this in a few minutes. For this strategic plan, we've added a 4th stream of work, and this is called valuing people. And we have arguably always valued people in the faculty, as none of our work happens without the engagement of our student, staff, and faculty in the work that they are doing. It though has become incredibly clear, particularly with the stresses that we've all been under over the past 3 years, that this has been an incredibly difficult time. We recognize people are working incredibly hard. The learning environment that our student, staff, and faculty are having to work in is incredibly challenging. And we need to pay attention to make sure that we're looking at the well-being, the respect, the appreciation, the commitment of everyone is doing to shape the work of our faculty. And so for this particular plan, we were committed that this is really deserving of special attention, and we've added it to the streams of work. And we've called these areas streams because we recognize that these activities do not occur in isolation. There's a lot of overlap, a lot of interaction, a lot of collaboration that has to be done in these areas to make us truly successful. So we're not thinking these of silos of activity, but as to how we can all work together to deliver these on these important areas. Now, what we're going to do now is you're going to hear from the 4 leaders of each of these streams of activity that will be leading these efforts in our strategic plan as we go forward. And the presentations will have a similarity to them. There will be a discussion of some success stories that have occurred over the last 5 years with our previous strategic plan. There will be discussion around the key focus or priority areas for each of these streams of activity. And then a final slide to highlight some of the outcomes that we intend to achieve with our strategy in each of these 4 disciplines. So I'm going to introduce the stream leads, and they'll take us through each of their presentations, and then I'll come back to say a few words in closing. And we will be taking questions, but just in the interest of time and keeping 90 people online and people in 2 rooms in Halifax and St. John, we'll just leave questions to the end of the presentation, if that's okay. So the first person that I'm going to introduce is our stream lead for excellence in education, and that's our Associate Dean for Dalhousie Medicine, New Brunswick, Dr. Jennifer Hall, who is coming to us from St. John this evening. So Jennifer, take it away, please.
And good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to see folks here at DMMB and those in Halifax and the 86 people on Teams. So as David says, I'm pleased to discuss the plan forward for excellence in education. And I'm going to ask someone there, David, are you going to advance slides for me? That's great. Thank you. The previous strategic plan has produced many successes, and included in these areas are the following bullet points. So the first is the review and the renewal of the MD program curriculum, paying particular attention to some priority areas such as generalism, addiction, planetary health, and equity and diversity and inclusion. And one concrete example of this has been the pre-clerkship case diversification activity, which has been completed for Med 1 and is planned for Med 2 cases, which better reflects the community in which we learn and practice. Secondarily, both campuses at DMMB and DMNS have increased the class size of the MD program, and the diversity has increased for the BSc Med-Sci program, the undergrad MD program, and postgraduate programs as a result of very specific and deliberate strategies to increase the diversity within all these areas. Thirdly, the importance of family medicine as a foundation of a successful healthcare system has resulted in the incorporation of more family medicine experience in the MD program, more family medicine faculty teaching in the MD program, and an increase in the CARMS match to family medicine from a low of 25% a number of years ago to 45% this year. So we're committed to building on these successes of the DalMed Forward strategic plan and focus on some new areas as well over the next 5 years. The next slide, thanks. Our first focus area in education is building on excellence in education. The first priority area, it's important to note that graduate studies and postdoctoral training is a renewed focus in this plan and has been moved to the education stream as a critical area. Throughout the planning and consultation process, it was made clear that the education journey of our graduate students and the postdoctoral fellows requires a spotlight and a real focus on the contribution made by these scholars and by enhancing the culture of graduate studies within the Faculty of Medicine, ensuring the education path to these studies is more accessible to Indigenous and Black students, and to enhance the professional development opportunities for PhD faculty teaching in graduate and undergraduate courses. Secondly, Dalhousie Faculty of Medicine continues to develop many innovative education programs. Sometimes this seems to be a secret, and it can't be a secret because the plan promotes scholarship to show off some of these innovations and can attract others to come to Dalhousie Faculty of Medicine to be part of that passion for innovation in education. Third, our commitment to distributed medical education is highlighted in this plan, continuing to value the contribution of our distributed faculty and administrative colleagues, and further developing strong learning environments across the Maritimes by working with health authorities and other stakeholders is critical to ensuring that Dalhousie is producing physicians who are confident and competent to practice in communities large and small across the Maritimes and produce researchers who have impact in this environment as well. The next slide, thanks. Our second focus area is medical education responsive to the health needs of the Maritimes. One would have to be hidden in a very deep cave to have missed the fact that the Maritimes, just like other jurisdictions across the country, have an immediate and sustained need for better access and delivery of health care to the population we serve. So, to this end, a focus on family medicine was and continues to be a focus of this plan. This is an area that will continue to be built strongly within the new strategic plan. Enhancing exposure to family medicine in the MD program will continue to be a priority, as will the support of family medicine residency training sites to incorporate community adaptive curriculum and experiences. Critical in this focus area as well is the enhanced need for engagement with communities. Whether it's looking at enhanced strategies to recruit students from rural, Indigenous, and Black communities, or addressing issues of housing for learners in communities across the Maritimes, or even seeing how faculty in communities large and small can be supported to teach. These are all part of that community engagement part of the plan. Thirdly, in that focus area is a strong understanding of the importance of the postgraduate programs in addressing the health needs of the Maritimes. There is a strong recruitment rate from our postgraduate programs, providing opportunities for residents to train in the communities in which they may practice or from which they may receive referrals in very subspecialized disciplines is a priority within this plan. Each CARMS description for entry-level programs describes the expectations for distributed experiences. Let us continue to make these experiences excellent and desirable. Next slide, please. Focus Area 3 addresses the value of the Faculty of Medicine in participating in health system transformation. Although the university does not control the health system, we can work with health authorities and government to contribute to health system research that should inform this transformation. Creating new residency programs such as public health and incorporating health systems curriculum such as CQI and patient safety work in all our programs also helps this change. Finally, but certainly not least, our focus area 4 is critical to the success of all other priorities in the education stream, health and wellness. We need to ensure that our learners and teachers have the resources to be well so they can continue to thrive. One concrete example of this has been the establishment of the Office of Professional Affairs under the leadership of Drs. Ian Epstein in Nova Scotia and Samantha Gray in New Brunswick. This office will address the strong recommendations of the Learning Environment Task Force, creating a safe environment for all. Next slide, please. So, how will we know that we've done what we set out to do? Well, here's some examples of the high-level outcomes expected from the education stream realizing our ambition. The more granular details are going to follow with KPIs and groups and such, but here are some of the bigger bins of the outcomes. We're looking at more students applying to family medicine programs and specifically Dalhousie family medicine programs. We're looking for residents to be supported in the acquisition of skills for practicing communities large and small across the Maritimes. We are looking for student and faculty diversity to continue to increase over all the educational programs involved in the Faculty of Medicine. Our learners across the education continuum, students, residents, scientists, and practicing physicians have contributed to the transformation of healthcare. Dalhousie Faculty of Medicine education undergraduate and graduate programs are highly sought after by learners for their healthy, inclusive, and supportive work environments, and that Dalhousie faculty are leaders in education scholarship. Exciting work ahead in education in the Faculty of Medicine at Dalhousie. Thank you for your ongoing passion and commitment to this exciting work, and I really look forward to working with all of you on these many wonderful initiatives. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Jennifer. Next, Dr. Eileen Denovan-Wright, our Associate Dean for Research, who's the lead for our high impact research stream, is going to speak. Eileen?
Once I get myself untangled. Thank you. Can you hear me at the back? Good. Lovely picture of our famous Dr. Jason McDougall. I thought that was a lovely one. Thank you today for joining here and online. And I want to start by saying, although we're talking about streams, I'm hoping people are starting to see how these things are going to interweave and be a connected and a cohesive path forward as we all work to secure our collective mission and realize our ambition. But for research, let me take a minute and, I did that. Were you actually doing that, or are we supposed to do that from here? Perfect. So, we were asked to put in some highlights from the past 5 years. And, there's been so many things that have gone on and so many people that we could highlight. And we were very purposeful in thinking when we were trying to pick out a few highlights of understanding how collective this work is. So instead of having a few individual things highlighted, we got out a boring histogram, okay? I know it's boring, and it represents money, and that's not the important part, but it is a way to graphically show that collectively, this community in the past 5 years has had tremendous growth. We've had tremendous growth in difficult funding times, and we've had tremendous growth in very challenging times for our clinician scientists, for our PhD scientists, for our trainees as we battled through COVID and responded to that very big challenge. So what you can see is that starting in 2018, the grant capture on the year over year, went from about 65 million to just over 95 million in 2022. And, this continued growth really represents so much work at all levels of all our people working together, individual researchers, research teams, departments, units, big research groups, as well as bringing in our partners. And the fact is that our partners are so integral. Our partners that are both between our departments and research groups, within our faculty, across faculties, and also when we think about our external relationships, with health authority partners. The most important thing is that we are also thinking about our partners in the communities, and communities are defined many ways. But we're trying to answer important questions, and I hope that people, although we didn't show individual faces, can see themselves in those bars where they added to, whether they were this first-year summer student who's getting their first experience learning from a team, or the person who's very experienced and has a great long history, or even the dean who's still doing this. But, some specific highlights I want to highlight as well is, we're very fortunate in the Faculty of Medicine. We have 23 endowed research chairs. And those are ongoing, and there's renewal in that, and that's a tremendous asset that we have to build groups. Importantly, we also have a Dal Research Chair, and we have 14 Canada Research Chairs. And I know groups and departments and research areas are looking to see how can they grow and recruit world-class scientists. Not that there aren't clever people here, but so that we can expand our impact and bring in new ideas and bring new opportunities. We also we have a recruitment underway for a Canada Excellence Research. So this is a world leader in vaccine equity. It's in vaccine development, serving a large need that if it wasn't apparent before the pandemic, I think everybody got the news now. But this is someone who's working clearly in decolonizing the research enterprise and sharing the participation in our communities with how and who does the work. And I think that will really help us to think about how important all of our perspectives are to lead to research and continue for growth. We also are very pleased, just as an example, working with computer science. We're just the Faculty of Medicine and Computer Science are working cooperatively to recruit a Canada Research Chair in the area of biomedical data science and personalized medicine. And this is a Tier 2 CRC chair, but it's showing our growth that it's not within medicine only, it's within medicine across faculties, and of course with our health authority partners in Nova Scotia, in New Brunswick, and as we expand those partnerships. So that's some of the highlights, and I really do hope that we can build on the success. So it's a good news story, totaling $366 million in grants and contracts and clinical trials, particularly between 2017 and 2022. And, these big applications, and there are more to come. And this work isn't the work that is led, it's the work that grows from the groundswell of the community approach. And it's the people driving these ideas and bringing them forward that we should really celebrate. Sorry, I'm a soft speaker. I'm so sorry. So, we were asked to highlight the impact, the focus areas. And, to achieve this high impact research, the first focus area, and again, these were deliberately selected for the order because we felt that everything's iterative, but, our first focus should really be always to look for partnerships. And we want to partner to establish focus and momentum. So we have some momentum, we want to continue it, we want to find new areas, but we want it to be responsive to the emerging areas of research and the community need, because ultimately, if we're going to have healthier communities, we need to be thinking about the things that will serve those communities. So, we're hoping for meaningful engagement, and we hope that everyone across the community at different stages of their career, at different stages of their training in different aspects, will see themselves as having a part in this. Our second focus area is really to identify and mobilize research potential. We saw that there was tremendous potential in growth despite challenges, and we believe that this increased capacity will really help to draw out the best from all of us to support knowledge translation and the communication of research results and successes. We need to learn more about what we're all doing, and we need to communicate it out to our communities so that that information can be used, but that we can also attract and grow this capacity. So, this is This is research that really must align with and address priorities of the institution, the health authority, the Nova Scotia government, and we can't ever forget that at the heart of this is our communities that we ultimately serve. The focus area 3 is to strengthen research, translation, and impact. And, this is where we're looking to develop processes that will determine needs and be responsive and quickly work on responding to applications for infrastructure, for skilled supports, staff, chairs, for the financial supports and bridge funds. So this, to us, is a way that we work together to bring our ability to respond. We have some great examples of that. There were small groups that were established, there were larger groups that were formed, and as opportunities arise, they were able to very quickly reform and work together. So, the best example lately is a partnership with McMaster University on the Canada First Research Excellence Fund, where we had tremendous strength in I3V and tremendous strength in healthy aging and frailty. And very quickly, once the call came out, we were able to respond and put those groups together, and they've worked collectively. There will be more growth like that. We're seeing this again and again of the knowing our systems and knowing the people and then working collectively to put things together. We all know you need infrastructure and you need money to do this. So, that is absolutely, we need to optimize our resources and align them with our research priorities. So we know that this is also part of sort of that infrastructure and support is also about removing the things that keep us from doing that really creative work. As we improve processes and have people spending time in their creative research work and hopefully less time doing complex things that people are figuring out. And I can see some people kind of smiling in the audience there because I think for new investigators especially, we want to make it easy for them to join, be integrated, feel part of the team, and then respond and be very successful. So, what will be our key outcomes? And as Jennifer said, the KPIs and the outcomes and the nitty-gritty details, we're all thinking about that. And I'm sure there'll be a process, and we'll be doing that. And we'll be happy to report on it because in the end, we want to measure our success, and we want to come and we want to say we delivered on these promises if we're really going to realize our ambition. So we want to do research that aligns with and addresses priorities of our institutions and our partners. That will be a key outcome in the next 5 years. There will be the best use of resources to drive success at securing more external funding for transformative research. In the end, great research brings great people and great research brings more money so that you can grow this enterprise and that more people can participate. We want to address those barriers that reduce the time that researchers spend in their creative work, to optimize the tremendous talent pool we have and to build on their success. And of course, people need to see that they're successful and feeling that their work is meaningful as individuals and in teams. And we have to have a way that we can recognize that and reward it and celebrate it. And that's why I'm particularly pleased that these streams, while they all interconnect, our newest stream of valuing people, I think this is where we will make great strides so that I'll have a better graphic instead of a money graphic at the end of the next where we can show it really importantly what we've grown in terms of the value and how people feel about the work. So I'll stop there because it's late and people want to get to dinner eventually, and we have 2 more streams. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Eileen. Okay, next, it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Gaynor Watson-Creed, who is our Associate Dean for Serving and Engaging Society and our lead for this particular stream. So thanks, Gaynor.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson, and hello, everybody. What a treat to see so many people in St. John and so many people in Halifax. I can't think of the last time that I've been in a room that was this full and not necessarily full of students. So it's really great to see everybody. I want to start just by reminding us a little bit of where we have been in the Serving and Engaging Society portfolio, which Dr. Anderson mentioned was new to the Faculty of Medicine when it was incorporated into the 2016. And at that time, we didn't know necessarily that this stream would take the directions that it has. We knew that there was something about that work, which at the time we were characterizing as partnering with our communities and catalyzing systems change. that would have to infuse all other areas of work in the Faculty of Medicine. And I think you've heard some evidence of that from Dr. Hall and Dr. Donovan Wright in terms of how, for example, the themes around equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility are now woven into all of that work that's happening in our education and research streams. But we didn't know necessarily that we would have to really dig into the knowledge and understanding of how complicit faculties like faculties of medicine have been in upholding colonial pasts, and how we would have to deconstruct that in order to get to a bright future. And when we realized it, what happened was we dug in. You all dug in to that work. It wasn't comfortable, but we did it. And so what's happening now is we have faculties from across this campus, we have faculties from across this country coming to us saying, what is that thing that you're doing, Dalhousie University Faculty of Medicine, called anti-oppressive practice? And why are you doing it that way? And why are we seeing this rumble of activity coming from you in a way that we've not seen before? And it's in part because some of the rumble has been that when we change things, like, for example, the diversity of our incoming class, that class started to change us. These are some of the unintended and positive impacts of this work that we've seen. So as an example, you've heard already about the diversity of our incoming classes. If anybody has had the chance to interact with this year's first year class as an example, the diversity of that class is simply outstanding. And that is a result of our changed admissions processes, among other things. And that class is indeed changing us to the point where we now have student leaders who are creating, I'm going to say, world-class resources on anti-oppressive practice, like the Language Matters Guide that we have from our Student Diversity and Inclusion Committee, and like the microaggression training that one of our residents has put together as a faculty development offering. Those types of impacts are the things that happen when you start to really pay attention to the diversity portfolio as we have. In addition to that, we have looked to create, sort of a footprint of this social accountability and anti-oppression work, but alongside its systems change work with our partners, for example, in the health authorities and partners with government. And this is ongoing, but we now regularly hear from those agencies about this interest in anti-oppression and social accountability work, and so that continues. We've had the tremendous success of hiring 2 academic directors in Black Health and Indigenous Health. Dr. Brent Young is here in the room with us tonight. Great picture, by the way, Brent, on the opening slide. And again, success not only in our undergraduate medical education pathway, but also in our undergraduate Bachelor of Medical Sciences program, where we have a Black and Indigenous cohort program there. And so we feel well positioned to step into this realized ambition of the next version of this strategic plan. We're really excited about it. When we started on this work, we knew that not only did we have to integrate it into all areas of the Faculty of Medicine, but that there would be key specific areas that we'd want to focus on to make sure that once it was embedded, it stayed put. And we heard through the consultation with you that Dr. Anderson described earlier that one of the places that our faculty and our learners and staff would really like to see us focus on is making sure that we have internal alignment with all of the work that's being projected externally from here. So this idea that our internal systems, processes, procedures, practices would align with the values that you saw earlier and with our intent around becoming competent and confident in anti-oppressive practice, this is something that we'll be working on going forward. And so that represents our first focus area in the next strategic plan around transformed internal systems. We really want to see our graduates leave here ready to change the world to the extent that they can. And so those practices around anti-oppression, those practices around systems change, we didn't know in 2016 that systems were as complex as they are. And now that we understand that we have an obligation to teach to system complexity so that our students don't experience what a colleague of ours south of the border has called a voltage drop, where they enter the system for the first time, for example, in third year medicine and go, holy cow, this is not what I expected. We want our students to be ready to enter the system and change it as they are changing us. And so when we talk about transformed graduates as focus area 2, that's really what we'll be looking to achieve in that area. Similarly, we want our faculty and staff to have that same level of confidence and competence in engaging in these areas of anti-oppression and systems change. And so really want to see some focused faculty development on these ideas around systems thinking, systems transformation, and anti-oppression, again, going with those themes. And you'll note that these are cross-cutting themes, not just now for research and education, but we believe also for valuing our people. And so like Dr. Donovan Wright has mentioned, really looking forward to seeing that develop in this version of the strategic plan. Our community partnerships have transformed already by the work that we've done. They've seen that we are paying attention to our colonial past. They are recognizing our genuine attempts to transform into something better. And we want to make sure that those partnerships remain going forward. And so really increasing our trust with those community partners so that they feel confident in the hands of a collaboration is where we'll be focusing over the next 4 years. Our last focus area is around becoming a trusted health system intervener. And so one of the things we recognized in this question about how do you catalyze systems change as the world around you is changing and as systems become more complex is that there is something about being sort of a stable platform in stormy seas when that's occurring. And so we'd like to see the Faculty of Medicine thought of in that way as that stable platform where stakeholders may come and have the safety to have the difficult systems change conversations with some academic rigor and with some framing around it, that can be helpful. And so if we can offer that, we will. And so that will be part of our deepening as we go into the next version of the strategic plan. So in terms of key outcomes, then you will continue to see EDIA, anti-oppression work, extending itself into all areas of the Faculty of Medicine, but particularly in those internal governance and policies in conjunction with the Office of Professional Affairs that you heard about from Dr. Hall. We hope that you will continue to see particularly increased numbers of Black and Indigenous learners as we grow those pathways over the next 4 years. Seeing the confidence and competence again in all people associated with the Faculty of Medicine at Dalhousie University, and that in turn hopefully will instill confidence in those that we are engaging with. And certainly within that we would hope to see healthy collaborations with our health system partners on systems change priorities. I want to thank you for your engagement over the past 5 years and what was somewhat experimental at the time, and really looking forward to working with you over the next 4 years on what comes next.
Okay, thanks very much, Gaynor. And our final stream of activity is termed Valuing People, and Ms. Linda Penny, who's the Chief Operating Officer of the faculty, is going to speak to this pillar, and Linda's online here tonight. Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, all set. I'm disappointed I couldn't get there in person today. I obviously forgot to knock on wood last time I said I've escaped COVID. So valuing people is an exciting new stream in the strategic plan that has 4 focus areas that I'm just going to briefly touch on. So next slide. Oh, next slide. So creating positive work environments. That one is all about our culture and our working relationships. Supporting career growth is about onboarding, mentorship, and career development. Next slide. Foster well-being. That one is about workplace wellness. And in fact, Employee Wellness Day at Dalhousie is tomorrow. And maintaining an affirming organizational culture. This one captures equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. So these are just very high-level descriptions of each of these focus areas. There's a lot underneath each area. So next slide. So this is the outcomes slide. And at a high level here, you can see what we're looking at as some of the main outcomes. And the themes, without me reading them, you can see the themes clearly. This is relationships, connections, building community across our provinces, our physical space. We want our people, and we mean all our people, to feel supported and valued. We want to be transparent in our funding supports. And of course, the equity, diversity, and inclusion piece. So the reason I'm saying this is exciting is really because there are concrete steps that we can all start taking to show our collective commitment to this stream. There's real opportunity here to make positive change that will impact everybody, our faculty, staff, and our students. And while valuing people is a new stream, just like the other areas, there's work happening already. As an example, and this is by no means an all-inclusive list, we do have an assistant dean for wellness and lots of work happening in the wellness area. We have faculty and staff awards that have been in place for a long time, promotion for clinical and PhD faculty, all the work being done by student and resident affairs, and of course, all the great work in the Serving and Engaging Society portfolio. And as I said, to name just a few. So what we want to do is build on the good work that is happening in the faculty, as well as tackling the other areas that were identified clearly in the consultations as needing attention. So ultimately, the real intent of pulling this out as a stream is to move this work front and center. So we got a lot of feedback, and it was interesting that we were able to distill this really down into 4 distinct areas, which is really helpful to allow us to focus. Now, as I said, there's a lot under those 4 areas, but it's nice to be able to focus on 4 so we can make some immediate and many lasting impacts. Now, there's no question we have a lot of work to do, and it won't be easy work, but it is important, and it's definitely attainable, which is why I think this work is so exciting. So I just want to say thank you and looking forward to implementation.
Okay, thanks very much, Linda. So we're coming to the end here, and I really want to finish by saying as we've worked through this planning process, we identified that there were really 2 areas that cut across all of the work that the Faculty of Medicine is doing. And the first of these is our role as a Faculty of Medicine for the Maritime provinces of this country. For its 155 years in existence, Dalhousie has been training physicians for this region of the country. We now have a physical footprint in 2 provinces with our campus in Halifax and our campus in St. John at Dalhousie Medicine, New Brunswick. And as was announced last week, we are going to be opening a 3rd campus site in Sydney, Nova Scotia to focus on some of the regional needs of that end of the province and of rural health for the Maritimes as well. So these roles are incredibly exciting. And as we think of these 4 streams of work, we are always going to be needing to pay attention to the training, to supporting students and faculty throughout the Maritime provinces, to look at things like health system change and transformation and how that impacts our Maritime region, and how we engage community throughout the provinces that we serve. The second cross-cutting area is EDIA, and you've heard about this through every presentation from our stream leads, that the importance of equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility in decision-making and prioritizing activities is paramount at this time and will continue to be a driving force as we go forward with action items and activities that inform this strategic plan. So those are 2 key concepts that just just reflect and intersect all of the work that we're going to be moving forward with in this plan. So I just want to finish by saying this is it. This is on 1 page what we are putting forward for realizing our ambition, defining a new era in Dalhousie medicine. And we'd welcome your feedback and input as we move forward with this. This will be a living document that will be ours to serve and will help inform all of our work as we move forward in our departments, our programs, our teams, our studies, in all areas of work that we do. So I want to, again, thank everybody for their participation and engagement over the last year and have helped us in putting this together. I'll just flag that in the next 24 hours, we will be circulating a larger document that fills in a lot of the details of the actions that will inform all of the 4 streams of work that we'll be that we will be working on over the next 5 years, and we look forward to your input as we move forward with this particular plan. So I'm going to stop there, and we have a few minutes for questions if anybody would like to make a comment, but sincere thanks to everybody coming out tonight in St. John and Halifax, and for those who have joined us online. We really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Wild applause would be appreciated. Okay, so I'll just pause and just offer people the time to ask questions or comments. If you do have a question, either in Halifax and St. John, please press your button in front of you and you'll be recognized. If you have a question or comment online, please raise your hand, and we'd be pleased to recognize you as well. So I'll pause there and just give people a chance to collect their thoughts. Yes. Let's see if I can work the device here. I've been practicing. Oh, Chris, go ahead. Yeah, thanks.
Told you I was going to bother you, and I kept my promise. It's just a quick question, actually, around equity, diversity, inclusion, Indigenous peoples, et cetera. When it comes to the graduate student population, I know we're working towards it on the medical student side. Is this going to be part of what you're thinking in terms of trying to increase equity, diversity, inclusion on the sort of master's, PhD, postdoc side as well?
Yes, so
it would be welcome.
Yes, so that will be something that we will be specifically addressing this time, Chris. As Jennifer Hall highlighted, that this year we have student cohort programs in our BSc Med Sci program for both African, Nova Scotian, and Indigenous students, and so we'll be working with those students as they work their way through those courses. We absolutely think this is important to do at the graduate student level as well, and we'll be working with departments and making that happen. Thanks for the question. Any other questions or comments? Frank, go ahead, please.
David, not so much a question, just congratulations. As somebody who's worked on a faculty strategic plan, a university strategic plan, I know the time and effort that is invested in a project like this, and clearly the consultations have produced just an outstanding list of priorities. And I see the cross-cutting nature of those priorities. And it was hard not to clap after each one of the presentations, so congratulations on that. Just a general comment. We're working through planning the next MOU with the province, and we're trying to make sure that we establish a set of priorities that link into the provincial priorities. And you've spent a lot of time in this presentation identifying those linkages. The challenge we have, at the senior leadership level in engaging the province is that they're looking at our strategic plan for the institution. What you can't get in a strategic plan for the institution is the detail that is so brilliantly captured in this. So what I'd love to do is for you to share that with me so we can infuse this material to identify one of the priorities that this university is focused on, including healthcare, and translate the details, the operational details of how we link into those priorities in the form of this presentation. So this has been great, and I just want to congratulate you on that.
Okay, no, thanks, Frank, and obviously would love to work with you and happy to work with you in that regard. I think it is one of those things that that this faculty have embraced, that there is this has been an incredibly challenging time for health and healthcare delivery over the last, particularly over the last 3 years. And the people, in this room and on that are joining us remotely have in many ways been the leaders of that healthcare delivery from the physician side. And likewise, our scientists have done an incredible job around COVID research and supports of other aspects of health. So I think it's really been a team effort, and we're excited to be able to continue that work over the next 5 years. So thanks so much. Yes, my goodness. Please go ahead.
Just a comment. I echo what Frank just shared, but I'm really excited to work with your team because I know your alumni, of course, will be very interested when you talk about 155 years of educating medical doctors in our region. The alumni will be very excited about this, but not just in your faculty. Like, this is something that we can share with alumni around the world, and particularly this particular region, broadly, because you're solving such critical problems for our society. So I applaud the work that happened, and I look forward to sharing it.
No, thank you very much, Sheila, and obviously you have such a critical role with both with advancement and the Alumni Association at Dal, and we very much look forward to working with you in those areas as well. Yeah, thanks. Jillian. Okay. Okay, so the question is, how does Dal plan to measure success in serving and engaging societies and in valuing people? Are there plans for KPIs and targets? And so maybe Gaynor, happy if you want to weigh in or go ahead. Yes.
Thanks for the question. The answer is yes, and so we already have a number helpful planning tool that outlines those long-term and short-term objectives and measures of success that we're looking for. We actually created that in 2019. And so in this version of the plan, we'll be using that logic model to further define those KPIs that really are about a qualitatively different type of faculty and graduates than we've seen before. So looking for those attributes of competence and confidence in particular that I spoke to as part of what we measure going forward.
Okay, thanks very much, Gaynor. Okay, I think it is 6 o'clock, so just respecting everyone's time, I just again sincerely want to thank everyone for your engagement and participation here, and we very much look forward to working with all of you as we move forward with this plan over the next 5 years, realizing our ambition. Here we go. Okay, thanks so much, everyone. Thanks again for joining online and at DMNB. We'll look forward to seeing you soon.